Welcome everybody, welcome to this, I forgot which, 27. Welcome everybody, welcome to this 27th episode of All Around Azure. And today with me, I have another cloud advocate, Aysegul. Sorry, I butchered your name again, I know, but...
No worries.
Welcome to the show, I'm very happy to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
We'll be talking about mixed reality, augmented reality. There are so many terms that we'll definitely have to do some naming convention here. Make sure we all agree on what is what. But can you describe a little bit your role or tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. My name is Ayşegül and I am one of the cloud developer advocates, just like Frank. I focus on spatial computing, which includes everything that is augmented reality, virtual reality, and also anything that is computing in all around you. That could be Xbox. And yeah, I most of the time work with HoloLens 2, which I'm so lucky to have access to.
I still remember back in the day when we could travel and we met at an airport and you make me look... let's say funny because I was trying the HoloLens and I was seeing things that others couldn't, but it was awesome. It was awesome. It's a nice machine. I wish I have that, though I'm not sure what I will build with it, but
yeah, I'm sure you'll find a use case. Everybody finds one.
Pretty sure. Yeah I think it's more the time that might be struggling finding.
That's true. There's just so much setting up to do as well.
Exactly. So so today we'll be talking about augmented reality.
Mm-hmm. And you said let's get on the same page with the concepts. Should I go over what is mixed reality? What do I mean by it?
Yes, exactly. I was exactly going there. So
great. So there is a whole range of applications when we think about, virtual reality, augmented reality, and all of the things in between. Here I have a headset. If I get it. This is a VR headset, which has some cameras that sees outside, but it's not used. So when I put this on, I'm completely immersed in a whole new world, which everything is digital and I have no connection to anything in my environment. So this is one end of the spectrum. And on the other hand, end of the spectrum is our real world. So anything in between, including virtual reality and augmented reality, we call mixed reality. Most of the time in Microsoft, it's not as widely used outside, but also XR is used for the same reason, because there was VR, no AR first, and then there's AR now, and most of the APIs that we are developing, we don't know what will come next, so we just call it XR because we don't know. X is the variable. And well, I think I didn't mention what augmented reality is. So HoloLens is the augmented reality glass, and as you can see, this is very transparent, and what it does is it adds additional information to what I'm seeing. For example, it could be a wayfinding, or it could be some tutorials to work some kind of machinery. So it doesn't disconnect me from my whole environment, but it adds to my environment. So it's augmenting our reality.
So so I still see what I should see, but then other stuff that don't exist are displayed.
Yes.
Okay, so that's augmented. Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be visual. Audio edition is also considered augmented reality. It's just somewhere in our mixed reality spectrum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's true. I mean, yeah, you could have sounds and stuff like that, and you're just augmented my reality. If every time I walk at some place I heard some noise, then like it will be part of, like I will be looking for a waterfall or whatever that noise is. That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So like Google Maps, even the Maps navigation is also in a way augmented reality.
You won't be banned because you said the G word here. You will be fine.
Good.
Don't get stressed. I saw you like, no. You can say that. Like, there, no problem. Tech is tech. And that's the beauty. And I think the fun of it, and I want to make it clear. So the goal of the channel is to help everyone with their knowledge, their experience, or non-experience to start using Azure. So sometime you have experience with some language, stacks, whatever, and you could fit that and use different services on Azure. And the beauty of Azure, I think, is it's very open and accessible and a bunch of APIs and stuff like that. So you could access it from many different other environments. So you don't need to be on Azure and only work with the Microsoft stuff to be able to do something. You could pick any kind of block from anywhere and just put it together and build your thing. Be the artist and just build whatever you want.
Yeah, it could be for Android, iOS also.
Yeah. So wonderful. So what's the demo of today? What's your where do you bring us? Monday are harder, by the way. I should have before the stream.
Mondays are harder?
My English is rusted on Mondays.
I know, same here. I mean, I didn't speak to anybody during the weekend.
Good, so we should call it Rusted Mondays.
Yes, good one. So I just wanted to introduce everyone to developing mixed reality applications, but there's just so much setting up to do, as you might have seen with your sessions with April. So I'm just going to start in the middle of the application. Otherwise, it just takes so long. The part that I want to show you is how to create Azure Spatial Anchors. And I would like to talk about Azure Spatial Anchors and what they are and what we do with it overall.
Yeah. Should I display your screen?
Oh, yeah, sure. Am I sharing? Share screen.
Yes, we can see a clock.
My clock?
And now Azure Mixed Reality Curriculum.
Yes. As part of my job, I am helping other people learn how to do mixed reality applications. As part of it, we created this curriculum to help students in schools to teach as mixed reality. And you can find the link at aka.ms mixed reality curriculum. It's MRNC is uppercase. Or you can just take a picture of this QR code. So what we have here is basic concepts, and then it goes through some of the projects.
I remember that little one.
Yeah, that was the application that you saw. Yeah, is it start? Would you like to see how things look?
Yeah, can definitely do that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to the Azure Spatial Anchors, not concepts.
And I wrote it in the chat, but if anyone has questions at any time, just put it in the chat, and I will make sure the question is answered.
Let's see. Loss of connectivity. It is going to be hard with the headphones on. So one of the really cool things about HoloLens is that it has eye scanning, and that's how I sign in to the applications. So the HoloLens was on sleep. That's why I have to just put my head in there to show my eyes.
What do you mean? It see eyes, so it kind of boots, or it see your eyes and recognize you?
Yes, and then signs into my account.
Ah, this is awesome. Like I didn't know that feature. That's cool.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
it
it's
is really cool.
oh wow, that's cool. Biometric for something something.
Yes.
Like the fingerprint and stuff like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really, really cool, especially if you are sharing a device with somebody else. Then, you have to constantly put in your password and stuff like that. But it can remember multiple people's eyes, so whoever is wearing it, they're automatically signed in. Okay.
So in the chat, Yuri Gzak47 is asking, is it possible to do an app with Holocus Quests? So I think Holocus, though, it's not augmented, right? It's like it's only virtual. Am I right?
Yes, it's virtual reality. You can, well, most of our tools that we built for mixed reality. I'm hearing myself.
So to add to the question, there's now arcade mode who's asking, what about any other VR like Valve, Index, or Vive?
So the tools that we are making for mixed reality toolkit, you can build for VR as well. So we have a version for Oculus, and you can build for mixed reality Windows mixed reality headsets, which are VR headsets.
And that's with the you mentioned the frame. Is it a link that you share with me that I could put in the chat?
Yes. So we have multiple tools. One of them is the UX tools. Let me see. So this one. So Frank, I hear my echo from you.
You're here yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I wasn't at first, but I started to hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear any echo either here, but let me check if I can fix that.
All right, while you're doing that, I'll show the experience. Can you see? You do see it, right?
Whoop, nope. Because I tried to fix things. Damn it. Okay, yes. Now we see.
So,
sorry, everybody.
Yeah. I'm gonna take off my headphones so I won't hear it.
Okay. Unreal Engine.
So this is the application that we are starting with. We have a chessboard, and we have hand interactions, and then we are going to add Azure Spatial Anchors to it. So as you can see, I still see the background, but I also have additional things. And we have a web browser available too, which is Firefox Reality, which means that you can also do JavaScript, and that will work just fine. So, as you can see, it's the WebXR thing, and this is all JavaScript, and then it's working on the web browser. So you can build just once, and you'll be able to see this on Oculus and also AR headsets.
Ah, nice. It was awesome.
Yeah, sorry for making you all dizzy.
No, it's fine. I think we get used to when someone is presenting on reality. Janice Q7 says like on reality, unreal reality, mixing the two. So we have a very long. Is it the question? MS had All Around developer program where we could sign up and we'll get a headset to develop on, but you had to pay like $99. Is it still a thing?
I think it's not still a thing. It was at first, and then you would get Unity membership. Let's see. So you sign up here, join the developer program. But I don't think it does exist anymore. That was a thing for a while. Frank, I still hear myself.
I cannot do anything right now about it. Because if I change the sounds, then I will screw up the setup for everybody.
Okay, no worries.
I can lower maybe my volume. Maybe it will be better this way.
Any other questions?
Yes. The app are developed in Unity. That's a question from Decent Tiu. I mean, you need gaming dev skills for this kind of app.
That's a good question. We make it as easy as possible for people to develop from every other background. For example, if you are a JavaScript developer, you can start using Babylon.js. There are some concepts that are specific to 3D design, not exactly game design, but so that takes some time to learn and understand. Other than that, AR itself is a different kind of development, right? There's just so much to learn on that side.
I may fix the problem now. Sorry for your sound.
Nice.
I think Skype was using a different mic, but now he's using the same mic. Anyway.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was getting so distracted by my own voice.
Okay, so I think we had more questions though. So yes, most apps are based Unity based. Follow-up question: if someone wants to leverage WebXR for HoloLens development, can you still use a Mozilla WebXR emulator that's available as an extension from browsers?
Absolutely, which is really good. It's just web development still. You can test it on your browser. You can use the WebXR emulator, which is really cool to be able to do.
And can you hear me okay? I'm lower. Maybe I mute my too much. Like you, I think you're fine. I think it's the chat. Someone in the chat mentioned I was very quiet. Am I still very quiet, chat?
Mm-hmm.
Like what happened? That's why I need two cameras, one to play and one to record. All good to me. Thank you, Imperial. Great audio. Okay, cool. All fixed.
Nice.
Yay.
Nice. Yay. And one of the questions was, is it just Unity? It's not just Unity. You can just do OpenXR. You can do Unreal Engine, Unity. Unity is C# development, by the way, and JavaScript, basically.
Cool. I think we're good. After that, there was more comments about the sounds. People were helping me fixing the sound issues.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. And whatever you are having hard time, if you decide to develop and whatever concept you are having hard time, it will be nice to get your feedback. You can reach us on Twitter or here, I guess, and we'll create more of the resources. So in this one, for example, I try to not assume any knowledge of anything. So, and everything is organized as a question. If you know the question, you can just skip through it. But whatever you don't know, you can just go and read about it. Frank, I still hear myself so badly.
I'm sorry. Now, can you hear me? No, huh? No, you cannot hear me. I'm sorry. I cannot change anything then. I thought I had the solution, but apparently I can't.
Yeah. Right. So today, for example, I'm going to show you the Unreal Engine version, which has a node-based development environment called Blueprint. Basically, you have nodes which you can connect to each other to create the programming. And then it compiles to C++. And at the end of it, you have access to the C++ files as well. So you can change things afterwards if you like.
Cool.
Yeah. And let me tell you about the spatial anchors, what they are. So spatial anchors is not specific to Azure. We have the local anchors for Android or iOS applications. Google have cloud anchors as well. Azure Spatial Anchors is a way of saving those anchors. And one really cool thing about the Azure Spatial Anchors is also it translates from iOS to Android to HoloLens, so you can create some shared experiences which you can deploy to multiple platforms.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so spatial anchor is kind of the like a keyword kind of thing.
Yes. So what actually the spatial anchor is a way of defining a location in space. You can think of it as a much more accurate GPS, and this works indoors as well as outdoors. So basically, you can specify a point, let's say on my desk, and I can attach some kind of information for you to see that when you come to that location. And Azure Spatial Anchors is the way to say that to the cloud and then retrieve it and share it between platforms.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we have all of these really cool things where multiple people see the same thing in our application. One thing Azure Spatial Anchors is that a way to save this information, that 3D information that is being displayed. What we save on Azure Spatial Anchors is only the location information. So if you want to save a 3D model or any other kind of information, you still have to create your own database and then save it and then send it to your users. So basically, we do, like, our SDK translates anchors from Android to iOS, but you would still have to create the application that sends that information to an iOS application or an Android application or HoloLens. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. Any questions so far?
No, we had D-Rex who's just saying that virtual training program for manufacturing medical, is it a plugging or just helping sharing some information about training and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one really cool use case for Azure Spatial Anchors is that, let's say you have a big manufacturing environment and it takes a long time to train people to use some machinery. And with Azure Spatial Anchors, you can actually put that information right where the machine is to help people get the information. So it makes educating people much easier.
So WebEx6R spec has a concept of floors. How does a spatial anchor translate to that?
Floors? You mean, I'm not sure what floors refer to. You mean the hit test maybe, where you are selecting, well, when you click on your phone, for example, it shows if it's hitting a surface or not, which is called hit test. So it is kind of related because most of the time it starts with a hit test to replace a spatial anchor. But we do have it. Well, I also work at W3C Immersive Web Spec as the co-chair, and we are working on the anchors spec as well. And some of the browsers have started to implement it. For example, I think Google had one implementation, but they're still in the trial phase.
Okay. Well, apparently it was the question. So you answer, it was a question from Mr. Grime Break. Green. Another question, like it's a question day, so excellent. So Drex F7 say, what would you say if? Sorry, let's rewind it. What would you say is the most difficult thing for designing interface in 3D?
That's a great question. Most of the time people focus on the technology. They don't really ask the question, like, how do I design for it? And it's a really tough problem. And I think the biggest problem is not knowing where people are going to use it. If you're designing for virtual reality, you're creating the whole 3D virtual world. So you have ultimate control on everything, right? If you're creating a website too, like you have that page to yourself. Well, you still count for different phones and different platforms, but most of the time you know what's happening. But with AR application, you have no idea what kind of environments your users are going to use the application, right? And then your app has to fit into that. And testing for that is really hard because there's ultimately limitless variations. There are some tools people are developing. One of them is from Unity Labs, for example, which allows you to create some kind of environment, like a room, and then you can test your application in that room as if you're in that room. With HoloLens, wherever you go, like wherever kind of environment you're in, let's say this room, you have a way of scanning the whole environment and then having a version of that saved so that you don't have to constantly deploy it to your HoloLens or constantly have to put on the headset, but you can actually know it's going to look this way in this room. Does that make sense?
Well, for me, yes. Like, and I never thought about that. Like when you're creating a website or something like that, there's no boundaries. Like it's like you have a full, like you said, like an empty canvas. But then like we're building an augmented reality, you need to compose what's already there. Like that's kind of obvious, but like never thought about like, okay, I'm building a new website. Like except that probably people will be looking on a rectangle shape window. That's the only kind of limitation I have. I could do whatever I want. But when you are in the mixed reality, like you have a lot of stuff to think about.
Yes. For example, you have to make sure that your holograms is not on the other side of the wall, right? Like it fits into my environment. And one of the things is really hard is also we don't have designers who are used to working with 3D design. So what I saw with our partners is that there are lots of architects who start to design for augmented reality because they're a little bit more used to working in 3D space. And trying to design something in 2D space for a 3D space is, I think, the wrong way to do it. And we have a really great tool for it, actually. April might have showed it to you, but maquette on Steam. Okay, I guess So, not this one. All right, this one. So this is a design tool where you get to design things in 3D space, which is a virtual reality application, which is really, really cool. And definitely check this out if you're interested.
Can you share the link in the chat, and we'll paste it in the stream chat?
Yeah.
Oh, but stay with us and like just have a look after.
Yeah. And we do have a VR event coming up, actually. And I believe we have a talk about maquette, which is this Thursday. It starts at 9 a.m. PST. I'll find a link for that too. Yeah, any other questions?
Yes, we have D-Rex again asking for like a okay, I lost the question. Where is it? Okay, it's here. So how do you help the new HL user to learn this new paradigm in interaction with information? I've noticed it becomes difficult when interaction from an app and OS are not the same.
So true. And that's a challenge for sure. Because, for example, we have hand interactions with HoloLens. So it's kind of intuitive. You can just like reach out and hold a 3D object. And it's such a good experience. But then you have to translate it maybe to Android application. So what do you do is the question. What we do to help is create tools like Mixed Reality Toolkit, which does that for you in a way. You still have to do some of the changes, but we check for the experience. For example, if you have hand interaction, then you can interact with hands. If not, you can say click on it and drag. So we try to translate those interactions into each other.
Nice. And I think you paste the link, your invite for the meetup or something like that in the chat of the stream, but you cannot do that. So you need to pass through me.
Okay.
Does the sound is better? Because I think if I mute myself, then yes. Okay.
No, I don't hear myself anymore. Thank you.
Except if my mic is open, I think then you can hear yourself. Okay, meetup. I think I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So August 20, this Thursday, and you can sign up on this meetup page, and it will be a meeting on Teams, but I hope to stream it on Microsoft Developer Twitch channel too. But it's a process. So we will talk about how to develop for mixed reality WebXR, and there will be a talk from the maquette team. And this event particularly is all about virtual reality, and there will be a talk about HP, new HP headset that is coming out. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, how do we get started when we want to? You mentioned earlier you have the project already created. Like if I want to.
Mixed Reality Toolkit.
Sorry.
You mean Mixed Reality Toolkit? You mean?
Yes, that's the thing like we need to use for the anchor and everything, right?
Yeah, not use, but that's the thing that makes it easy, honestly. So if you go to the link over here, Mixed Reality Tools, and then you can choose what you're looking for. For design, we also have some design guidelines that you can check it out. And we have built some bigger applications before with HoloLens 1, and we created lots of HoloLens 2 applications as well. And we have some case studies that are helpful to read through. It teaches you like what are the things that we tried and failed and what worked. And it's a really good resource, I think, to get to learn.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I do have a GitHub repository where I have all kinds of resources for whatever you want to develop. It's called Mixed Reality Resources.
I think I have that one already, right?
Yeah, maybe. So the guidelines, assets, like finding assets is also a big part, and but there are so many places where you can get free assets. For example, Smithsonian Museum scanned everything they have, and it's free. You can just use it. NASA has 3D resources. There are protein data bank where you can just get real protein information and model them. Anyways, and then all the tools for different development, for example, WebXR, documentation, examples, libraries, repositories. There's so much here. And yeah, if you go to frequently asked questions, for example, what are the use cases, case studies, and there's just so much that I've found over time and then wanted to put it together as a bookmark.
And we have a question from Mr. Give me a break. How long until there will be a consumer version of the HoloLens 2? Or will Microsoft will ever consider starting another phase of dev program which may provide HoloLens units to Hobby Dev or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Currently, what we have is mostly for enterprise because it's a very expensive device to start with. And I do think that there will be a more consumer device at some point, but I have no idea when that is going to happen. That's information that we have to wait and see.
So wait for a major event.
Yes. For, I think, any company, for anyone to create a consumer device, there has to be a lot of developers who are developing for it. I mean, imagine like Android and iOS, there are so many developers, so many web developers. And I think it's a good time to get into or start learning mixed reality development now because we are at the very beginning and the need is going to increase over time. Apple will have a consumer device as well. They were supposed to have it by now, I think, and then they said, well, 2 more years. So once that happens too, I think the number of developers are going to drastically change. And one of the setbacks was also WebXR. It hasn't been implemented so much, but I think finally some improvements are happening there. But we had a really big setback last week because Mozilla laid off a lot of people on their WebXR team. But they still do have Mozilla Hubs, which is a it's kind of like a social rooms, I would say, that you can go in VR and you can create any kind of room that you would like to. So this is still happening. They have also Hubs Cloud where you can create a room and then you can host events, and you don't have to have a headset or any kind of device. You can just walk around by using the keyboards shortcuts. I have to enter the room to be able to do that.
And could I use that in... No, I couldn't because I cannot have... Because there are some app with the phone where you put the phone in front of your...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then...
Yeah.
how can you walk in those environments using your phone?
That's a good question.
Sorry for asking.
I think it still has access to your, movements, because it has a gyroscope, like it knows.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm assuming there's some kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I try a few things, but like for augmented, I'm fine. But when it's virtual reality, I got sick very quickly.
Yeah. And
or not. I don't be sick, but I feel bad.
That happens to be the case for most people, and that was also, I mean, one thing was the quality of the games, and the other thing is the very first example projects were the worst projects that you could ever think of that makes you sick. I think the quality is getting better, so it's much better, but still, it's a very different thing to be totally immersed in an environment, and there's a limit to how much time you would spend doing that. And if anybody's interested, Google Cardboard is one, and every time I go to these project funding, I find a new AR VR thing with a cardboard slide. So there are cheaper options out there.
That's the one I have.
Nice. And in terms of investing in yourself as a developer, I think web is such a good option, because so you are not doing anything specific to any headset, other than maybe you can have like hand interactions for Oculus or HoloLens. But other than that, there's nothing specific to any applications. So you can build ones and then it will stick, even though, some of the headsets are not continued, or it's hard to find, still your content is out there.
Nice.
I see one comment saying gaze-based interaction is a thing of the past, it seems. We still do have gaze-based interaction because it makes it easier to select something. So if you're not looking at something, you are not going to try to touch it, or you're not going to have the interaction going. But with HoloLens having eye movements tracking as well, it is a totally different one. So when it's eye, you don't actually have to turn your head, but you can just look with your eye. One of the good examples is infinite scrolling with your eyes. Whenever you read, you can detect where the user is on which sentence, and then you can start scrolling the app without having to touch, which is a really cool thing to do, especially right now with the pandemic.
Yeah, like the eyes tracking has been there in cameras to help you focus on a specific area. So like to help focusing on not the central point. So Canon has that for a while now, and maybe other camera. And I know also there's some kind of game or framework where now, because I saw a bunch of video where people like, they put picture and you try to stay focused or not look at the specific area of the picture, and they are tracking your eyes. So like people are trying to avoid, like they should keep the eyes contact to the person in the picture, or avoiding something because there's something strange in the picture, and like those track their eyes, and it was funny anyway. So another question, so what do you think about the state of design pattern in AR VR? It seems that design pattern may take a while to form at this bleeding edge tech.
That is very true. I mean, we are figuring things out, right? And we will do that for a long time. And it's really a challenge to have design patterns now, but we still do have some. And actually, we are working on an application for HoloLens 2, which is an interactive application, which you can see it on HoloLens or on a VR device, to teach you those concepts, like what is spatial understanding, like how do you place an object, and what do you have to think about when somebody has to place an object on a surface, or your interaction is not scaled so that things are in a place that people can't interact with, like goes through the wall or some of the furniture. So these are really interesting things that we are finding out. But there's really cool research about what is, the design concepts. For example, one of the research is that if you see a person sitting on the couch on any of the augmented reality applications, then nobody sits on that couch after they turn off the application, which is so interesting, like how our mind works. We still maybe think that there's a virtual person sitting in there. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, one of the patterns that emerge is also having more than one way of interacting with anything. For example, let's say you have a application where you have some kind of decorating your room or something like that. You don't want to go and put things into space with actual size of things, because it's really hard to scale something that's really big. But for the room, we have a exact copy of the thing, but much smaller, which you can turn things and then move things, and then things in your room change, which I think is a very useful way of interacting.
So some Mr. Gimme a Break says the phantom ends phenomenon.
Yes.
You saw that video, like you saw those proof where like people they separate your two arms, they put a fake arms, and then like they touch the fake arms and your real arms, and at one point they could stop touching your real arms and just touch the fake one, and you feel it.
Yeah. I mean, our brains work really interestingly, especially visually. We just can't tell the difference most of the time. I had to tell one of my friends to take off the HoloLens because she was looking at this experience called Fragments, and it's a crime scene investigation thing. And she was so scared, and I was worried that she might have a heart attack or something. I'm like, please take it off. You can't do this.
Oh my god. Well, like, it's true, because I think we're not used to, like, like there's these days with like the ease of manipulation of photo and now videos, like when you see that on TV or like on social media, maybe it's fake or something like that. But then when it's like we feel like it's your true eyes, since there's nothing in between and you still see your environment. So I think we're not used to that yet. So like we definitely have the feeling that like it's true. It's the reality.
Easier.
It's very
true.
well.
It's easier to forget. And one other thing is, like, in real life you start to try to press on things from far away, because that works in HoloLens. You can interact with things when they're far away as well, but not in real life now.
I wish I could just do, grab the whatever is far, bring it closer.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no way you can just like lift everything. So in the documentation under Discover, if you look at the design section, there's a lot of information and core concepts that helps with the designing of the interactions. it's a lot of reading. But we have researchers who has been working on this for so long, and they have a lot of very valuable learnings.
So Mr. Give Me a Break says that you touch something I experienced in the past where a flat GUID in VR was worse than a 3D UI. I don't know. Have you encountered that in the HoloLens AR in general?
I don't see a lot of flat UIs, and that's a good thing. Also because we have the mixed reality toolkit, which has 3D buttons and everything else. Because when you see a flat surface, you just think of it as a paper or things like that. So it's good for putting on some extra information, reading and things like that. But it is really nice if you can make it 3D, and then when you click on something, there's some sort of feedback. So we have some audio attached to the buttons, for example, and then when you click on it, the colors change, and all of those little hints are making the experience feel much more like 3D.
Yeah, I remember with April when she was working on her demo, and we were always adding different button for interaction, and like the color was changing and stuff like that, so we knew. And she was using because of that the button inside the toolkit.
Mm-hmm. It gives more of a feeling of 3D, and that's why I think it's very important not to design things on 2D tools, because if you are only using Photoshop, for example, to design an experience, then you will most you are going to do is just give some depth to make it look like 3D. But how about using a sphere as a UI tool, for example, or anything else, anything other than that? It's really hard to kind of be creative in 2D design environment for 3D design.
Yeah, and D-Rex mentioned that even the 3D between quotes button inside the MRTK are still kind of flat in a sense where they are using the principle of the 2D screen. Many UI actually feel like they are just screen on HoloLens. It's true that like it's a floating something, but there is interaction at least in those buttons.
Yeah, and for example, this one, I don't know if you're seeing it, that person. So we put them on a very flat surface to show, not to overwhelm people, for example. But when you click on it, there's actually a 3D button there, which has a ghost feeling. The outlines come out when you interact with it. When you don't interact with it, we just don't render most of it. But there's actually a 3D thing behind that.
I was trying to talk, but I was still on mute. And we just get raid. Welcome, raiders. So 31, party of 31 coming from the Visual Studio is raiding us. Welcome aboard.
Ooh.
We're talking about mixed reality today. Having some fun talking about anchors and the Unreal Engine, different things like that.
What is rating, by the way?
Rating is when someone else, so right now it was the Visual Studio channel, they after their show they could decide to bring everybody and come watch us.
Oh, that's very nice. Visual Studio is definitely part of developing for mixed reality, especially with Unity. Yeah, so going back to the flat question, they look flat, but the interaction happens, they have depth when you start to hover over them, basically. And MRTK, Mixed Reality Toolkit, we also have it for Unreal Engine now. We also have it for Unreal Oculus version exists as well. Which is really cool. I mean, the thing about Unity is, or Unreal, you can deploy to multiple platforms. One of them is web as well. So you can deploy to a web application using MRTK.
Andy Rex is saying, yeah, this is why I was wondering if there's a good pattern going forward or not. Maybe we will find a new pattern to get away from the flat UI, or maybe that's just the best.
It's not the best, I think, but it helps to, when you don't want to overwhelm people, still you give the sense of, 3D somehow, but for things like grouping the buttons, it's great. But if you have I don't know, like a slider, for example, it's never 2D in Mixed Reality Toolkit. There's always a knob that you hold and pull. And hand interaction is the most fun thing. And it's really nice to see other people, just as soon as they put on the headset, start touching things. And I think 3D helps with that feeling of, yes, you can touch this, and then it's a button.
Yeah, but even like in the real life, right now I'm looking I just bought a new monitor, and there's no button. Like it's the border. So I just and I don't know. I have a drawing tablet. So every time I reach to and I push it like forward under the desk. So when I pull it, like my arm a lot of time pass close to the window, the monitor, and just like change the setting and stuff because it's sensitivity. There's no button there. So I think even in our real life now, the button are just like going smooth and flat and kind of vanish a little bit. So if we're trying to recreate those, it just makes sense that they are flat. So like at least you could read the label, and that's it. Like there's no like big toggle button or something, like like if we tend to do that in reality, I'm assuming if we are creating that in the virtual or augmented, or how do you say again, the XR reality,
Mixed reality, yeah.
like we're just trying to reproduce that. So it kind of, we're just reproducing what we already have, right?
I guess a good thing is that just ask yourself, why are you using flat, or why are you using 3D? Is it adding something to your purpose? And know when it's adding something to your purpose. Don't just use it because it's easy to put together, and that might just disconnect people after a while, thinking that it's not really 3D. Yeah, I mean, if you think that it is helping your user, then use it definitely. Don't do it because it's easy, I guess.
Yeah, my experience has been the best VR experience are always UI built into the word in some ways. What? Wow, my English is very hard today. Sorry, everyone. So I'm trying to read a question from Mr. Give Me a Break. My experience has been that the best VR experiences are always UI built into the world in some way. AR is different in you still have some spatial awareness of the real world. So maybe flat UI is okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was doing. Like if it's like that in real life, then
Yeah.
Yeah, and D-Rex says, I find that trying to mimic things that we do in reality and make it in mixed reality is the most intuitive, since we are built of things that we really know. Yeah.
Totally agree. One thing to be careful of with the flat is if you are right next to it, you actually don't see anything. It's not like the real world. So
That was
other than
that was a
that,
problem
it's
also. April, when she did the demo, she mentioned that for when she created the first time her application or demo, she was searching for the button she created, and the reason why was they were like where she was, like she needed to move the button because since the XYZ axe was exactly her position, she couldn't find the button because it was where exactly she was standing. So until
that
she
happens
moved
very
away or
often.
like moved the axes, she was looking for it.
That happens very often.
We have another question from Mr. Gimme a Break, and it's a question for you. What's the difference? What differentiate mixed reality from X reality in your mind?
It's just different companies, different people using different terms. It's exactly the same. Mixed reality, we mean every kind of augmented reality to the end to virtual reality in Microsoft. And as far as I know, we are the only people who use mixed reality as much as we do. XR is more commonly used. So X means any kind of reality. So it is the more common term. And that's what we use on the web too, WebXR. Instead of doing Web VR and Web AR, now it's WebXR, all of the APIs. Whatever will come next. All right. We actually ran out our time really fast. I wanted to show you guys the Unreal. Thankfully, I have already made version. They're both open here. And if you would like to learn with us Unreal development, we are doing a streaming every Tuesday at 2 p.m. PST on Twitch, where we just go through some of the tutorials, and at the end we're going to build some games. And it's, yeah, come along. It's on one of the links that I sent you.
Is it the stream you start with M?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I missed it last time, but not this week. This week I will make sure I see it.
Yay, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this application is from the tutorials that we have, and this is the beginning. No, this is the end actually. This is the beginning version of it. So what we have is the board, and then we have one king, and we have the player, which is HoloLens, is the main player person, and we have just a button where we reset stuff.
Of course, so a pink button.
Yeah, exactly. And this is Unreal, and what we have is also not on this one, maybe the finished version. Okay. I guess I'll just show it here. Maybe I'll come back and we'll start doing it from scratch. It just takes some time.
So we only have 20 minutes left, so maybe we'll just continue then.
Yes. So this is Unreal, and I am using some mixed reality toolkit for Unreal. It was on one of the links that I sent you. Frank, if you could find it. Where am I? Okay. Really cool thing about Unreal development is that it's really easy to bring in any other assets, other things that people build, and every month Unreal Engine gives out a lot of free stuff. So no need to learn how to do 3D modeling or anything, and then you can just start from examples. And one other cool thing about Unreal is that you have this thing called blueprints, which is this node-based development environment where you can actually create some code.
Wow.
So I'll pull this here and I explain what this is. So mixed reality pawn, this is where the user, the person which is wearing the HoloLens, and this is where you have the perspective of at all times. So our Azure Spatial Anchors, to be able to create that, we create a Azure Spatial Anchors session, and then we start looking around to learn about our environment, so we can say this is a surface, so you can put something on that surface. And once you do that, you can then send that information to the cloud and save that information, and you can retrieve that next time you come, so everything will be in the same place. For example, if you're playing chess, we can both play with the same chess sets, and then our pieces, we would know where they are, and then we'll come back to it and continue from where we left off. And really cool thing about it is that also you can just play this here, and I added hand interactions, so you don't even have to have the headset. You can just use mouse. It takes practice. Well, let's see. Wow.
And this is how you know she's used to have the real thing.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
And we have other tools too, which allows you to connect directly to HoloLens, which is really, really cool because it takes so long to build an application and then package it and then deploy it to your HoloLens. So instead of doing that, we can go to the project settings, and then here we have the holographic remoting here. So I put in the IP address of my HoloLens, and then I can just say connect. So it is connecting now. Okay. Oh no.
What? That didn't work?
No. Press connect again. So when I press play again, come on. Then what happens is that it starts it on my HoloLens, so I can start seeing it on HoloLens. Enable for editor, that is correct. Let me double check my IP address. We have another application for connecting. Oh, maybe it's not open, that's why. So you can see what I'm doing on here. Live preview. Okay, so holographic remoting. So I open this application. So it tells me what my IP address is, and then I need to double check. Yeah, seems correct. We'll try to connect. Okay, now it's connected. Nice. Oh no, so badly I go.
So this is how you know it's live, it's not a recorded session. I think it's super hard when you're streaming, have multiple camera, mic, it's a lot to ask for a single PC, and like you're just using it for a few seconds, put it away, so you want to kind of sleep for a little while, but then like you're waking up again, and like it's a super hard setup for this kind of tech.
For, are you hearing the echo as well?
Well, like right now, every time I speak, you mean because you're hearing yourself?
And your echo too.
No. But my mic is open now, so I could
Okay,
I could talk.
great. Thank you. No.
Yeah. Everton says the demo god is angry today.
I know, yes. I was trying to do too many things at the same time. But believe me, it does work. So the application goes directly to your HoloLens, and then I can use my actual hands to try it out, which is really, really a cool thing. And here, let's take a look at how this Azure Spatial Anchor thing works. So first thing that we do is go to go to your portal, Azure portal, and create a new resource, and then you can search for spatial anchors and create a new resource. Once you do that, I'm not going to do that now because I have it already. You have a key and an ID, which you save it, which helps you to create the application. Okay. So a few things that we have to do. First of all, we have to have a AR session. We have to start an AR session. And we have some plugins to do that. So if we take a look, this is almost like pseudocode. All right.
It is impressive, those link box, close to scary, but I'm assuming when you're doing that, you get used to this kind of
Yeah, it does get kind of confusing sometimes, but I think you can group stuff and turn it off as well. And one thing is that really good about this is discoverability, because you might not know that an API exists, but you just start searching and then you see it. So you can try out things a little bit easier. I think it might be a good tool to learn how to code as well. No? Okay. So we have an event which is beginning of our gameplay. And when that happens, what we want is the hand interactions. And then we hooked that up. And then our transform of our hands starts from one place. But as soon as you have actual hands, Mixed Reality Toolkit takes over. And then it makes sure that you have a visual hands, and that's where the hands are. As far as Azure Spatial Anchors goes, we have to create a session. So this one, it's a custom event. You just right click and then type in custom event. Good thing is that you can never make any mistakes on spelling, and I think it's a really cool thing. So from this event, whenever this event happens, I just named this one Azure Spatial Anchor session. Then I can put the output by just dragging it and then putting it into nothing actually. So in this case, what I'm doing is choosing branch. Branch is almost like a if statement. Then you can say if it's true, do this, and not do this other thing. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. And if there's a session, what's happening here is if there's a session, which I'm getting the AR session information here, and then that's the condition. If that's true, then we can create a spatial anchor session as well.
Could you zoom that interface for us a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just me getting old, but it was tiny.
No.
Now I can read. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it is. I also wanted you to see the, overall. So you can also create variables. As you can see, you can just click here and then create a new variable. And on the right side, then you see, and then you can select what type of thing that you want to create and name it and so on and so forth. So I created the account ID and the account key, and this is what I'm using to configure my session with. So some of these functionality doesn't exist on Unreal, of course, and what I did was include the plugin for Azure Spatial Anchors. So that's why we do have that functionality. And it's plugins. So if you go under Edit Plugins, I added the HoloLens plugins and then Azure Spatial Anchors. So some of the functionality is coming from there. And then once we have the account ID and key, voila, we can start the session. And we are setting the Azure Spatial Anchor session is running. So that's another variable that I created because we want to check that if the session is still running, if we are trying to put in a new anchor in place. And right, I will have these on my GitHub, so you can just download them and take a look. And we have another event created, which is the stop anchor session. And once we stop it, we destroy it and then reset the Azure Spatial Anchor session running. If we have a session, then we can create an Azure Spatial Anchors anytime that we want. And first we check if the session is still running, and then we create some pins. Pins are just the points that we are defining. We talked about the hit test. Most of the time, how we define a pin is whenever we click on a surface, or we can just put some object there as well. So this is creating that pin and returning that value of the location and world transform and the track geometry. It could be that object. And then creating the anchor with that. Once we have the out anchor. Again, we are checking if it's successful, because sometimes we don't have enough information about the space, and in that case, we can't really create the anchor. And if it's true, we set an expiration date for our anchor. We need this because we might not want to save it forever. We might just say for a week, we'll have the session, then we delete it. And then we have an add to a set node, which adds to the saved anchors. And this part was all about creating the local anchor. So in our application, it's only happening so far on HoloLens, and now we have to save the spatial anchor to Azure Spatial Anchor. So we have some other conditions you can take a look, and then we save the array directly to Azure Spatial Anchors. And next time when we open up the experience, if we wanted to have access to all of the anchors, we can give some sort of search parameter. That could be a GPS location, or that could be a radius, or could be an ID of the Azure Spatial Anchors that we already know. And we could say anything that's close to it, I want all of the anchors that are close to it. So that way you get all of the anchors in your environment, and then you can create amazing applications like wayfinding, sharing any kind of information, and tutorials in real space. Sorry, we had to rush this one, but if you want to learn more, please let us know. So we will make even longer sessions next time.
Yeah, like I'm super happy like I know we rushed through your demo, but like you know what it means. It means it will come back.
Yay!
Like I'm just super happy with all the question we had in the chat earlier. So I think it's worth it spending the time answering those questions, dressing the table kind of thing, like explaining the keywords, the vocabulary, the differences. And in this case, there are some similarities and like depending on who's talking. So I think it was totally worth it. So and yeah, I'm curious, that file with like all the little box and everything, is it a flat file? Like, is it a JSON file or an XML or
This
something?
one?
Yeah.
So we compile it, and this creates a C++ code, which then you can open.
So you say it's a C++ code?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it creates, and there's actually, I'm very new to Unreal Engine as well, and sometimes you are able to just edit it. You can see actually the code where it's coming from, not that one, but and you see the compiler results here. So every time you have to compile and then save it. That's why it takes a long time to open up the projects. It's doing a lot of work.
I play with Unreal Engine very long time ago.
Well, maybe we should do
I won't say how
session.
many years because I will look very old. But my 18 years old daughter was not born.
Yeah. So much changed since then. I mean, even the applications that I haven't used a few years, I go back and I'm like, what is this? I have no idea.
Yeah. Let's recap before it. I need to cut that. Yeah, we have like 3 minutes.
Yeah. So Azure Spatial Anchors is a great way to share information between different platforms, mobile or HoloLens. One of the great applications, if you have iOS, how you can try it out, is Minecraft Earth, which lets people create these Minecraft objects and things outside. So and it's also a great learning tool as well. Just play with it, and if this is too much, if you just want to get into mixed reality, we have emulators which you can use to emulate HoloLens, or you can develop for web, and we don't have anchors on the web, but they will come. And
you can also follow the stream of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Yeah. So tomorrow is also the guest on this show. So tomorrow will be a lot of streaming for tomorrow for him.
Yeah. Okay. Here is the link to and this was our first session, so you can join us. I have all of the repositories wherever we left off on a different branch of the repository, so you can check it out and follow along with us.
Yeah, cool. Aysegul, thank you a lot for being with us today. It was super cool, and I think we'll definitely try to have you back. Go deeper in that setup. Maybe like start right away and build something or whatever. I know like you were hoping to present something else today and tech issues and stuff. But
that's okay because there's, as you said, there's just so many concepts. I'm happy to answer more, and if you have specific tutorials that you're looking for, reach out to Frank. He'll find me, and I'll be happy to do it.
On top of your screen, there's your Twitter account. So if you have a question, you can ask her directly. Or you can always ask me. I'm always looking for an excuse to talk to her. So. Yeah. But you can reach her right away on Twitter. She's always over there sharing stuff. And to all people in the chat, I would say thank you a lot. It was an awesome stream because of you, because you asked all those questions. So thank you a lot. And if you are just lurking and watching, that's totally fine too. I'm very comfortable with that. And I will say, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.